everybody, Gannon here. Welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Chair. Today is going to be my last review for Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, because in about 2 hours here, the season finale, I assume it's going to be called A and Arcadia Ego Part 2, because that's the name of Part 1. I can only assume Part 2 is going to be named the same thing. This is going to be another 2-part review, just because I think it is fitting for these 2 episodes, especially because this is a 2-parter. The first part of the season finale was really insane. Things got really hectic real quick, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. First scene, we see the crew aboard La Sirena. They are on their way. They get done traveling through the Borg transwarp conduit, and then they arrive at the planet of Gulion 4. As soon as they get there and they leave the transwarp conduit, they are closely followed behind by Narek, who begins attacking them mercilessly. Chris Rios pulls a fast one on Narek. Maybe, I don't know if it was all an illusion from the start. I'm pretty sure it was. Narek projects his cloak forward to give the impression that his ship is damaged, probably knowing that Picard, being Super Federation and Starfleet, would go and try to assist him rather than just leave him to die. So they attempt to beam him out. A moment of vulnerability, Narek takes opportunity and starts blah 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 at the La Sirena. Chris Rios is having trouble dealing with that, but whoo! Up from the planet comes these giant flower-looking things that they refer to multiple times as orchids. Interplanetary defense systems that resemble flowers that kind of go up and encapsulate the enemy, then bring them down safely to the surface of the planet, disabling their vessel, but not killing anybody inside the vessel. So it seems like the androids are prepared to defend themselves, but they're not really prepared to kill anybody. Right as they're being encapsulated by the orchid, the ginormous Borg cube comes out of the transwarp conduit, and it looks absolutely amazing, guys. I imagine the graphical budget for this episode probably went towards the Borg cube and making it look extremely awesome, and not towards the actual admonition footage seen later. We actually do see some pretty cheap-ass stock footage later in this episode, which is a little bit embarrassing. I don't know, from a production standpoint, that seems a little bit cheap. The Borg cube also gets caught up in one of these orchids and goes plummeting down along with La Sirena and also Narek's snakehead Romulan ship. As they're plummeting down, Picard kind of loses it, and he starts speaking as though somebody's speaking through him. They plummet down, they land on the planet of Gulion 4. Picard wakes up, there's a little back and forth between him and Agnes Jurati, and he finally thinks it's time to let everybody know that he has this terminal brain irregularity that is finally, it seems, catching up with him. So it seems that the clock is definitely ticking on Picard's lifespan, and he's saying his goodbyes to everybody in this episode. Some of my favorite moments in this episode, by the way, guys, is Picard saying his goodbyes and conversing with characters and kind of having a little bit of a heart-to-heart moment. By the way, guys, it happened in this episode. They went and did it, and I really don't know how the Star Trek boomers are going to handle this. Jean-Luc Picard said a swear word. He said, if anybody treats him like a dying man, you're gonna run the risk of pissing him off. Woo boy! If the Star Trek boomers' desire for wanting this to be some sort of J.J. Abrams alternate universe wasn't strong enough, oh my god. The moment that Picard said the word pissing, my heart dropped. I was like, oh my god. I don't know how they're gonna be able to handle this one, guys. I mean, he is kind of talking about his mortality. I think it's perfectly appropriate for Picard to use the word pissing. It doesn't really faze me at all. I know Captain Picard and Admiral Picard probably would never swear because he was in Starfleet. This Picard isn't in Starfleet. He is about to die. I can imagine he would like to express his feelings passionately with the use of a very minor swear word. I just don't know how the Star Trek boomers are going to cope with that. You see, as they're leaving La Sirena, I don't know if this was seen before, you could see as they're leaving the ship that it actually says La Sirena on the side of it, and it looks like it's kind of painted on there like some old World War II style pinup girl, and I thought that was pretty cool detail. They head towards the fallen Borg cube. Like I said before, I think most of the graphical budget went to the Borg cube, because seeing that ginormous Borg cube half submerged in this ocean, in this totally awesome landscape that they've created here on Gulion 4, was just a really awesome sight to see. One little discrepancy, though, people are pointing out is that before it was said that this planet had constant ion storms and electromagnetic radiation and constant lightning, but the whole time that they've been here, the sky has been clear as fucking day. So that could be an internal continuity mistake right there. They might go and give a little bit of an explanation for that later, but it just seems like before they said there was constant storms on this planet, now it's like the whole time they're there, it seems like a bright summer day. They go to the Borg cube, they see that Eleanor's alive, they learn the fate of Hugh, and then they also meet back up with 7 of 9. I really hope that 7 of 9 has a huge impact in the season finale when I go to watch it tonight, just because I've been watching so much Voyager. After season 4 of Voyager, guys, like the first 3 seasons with Kes, I really felt like there was a lot of kind of like boring episodes that really didn't have much substance, and then there was just like this handful of just beautiful gems. But after season 4, 7 of 9 joins the crew, and everything just gets so much better. They start building upon each of the characters a lot more. Everything gets a lot more dramatic, and these storylines just get a lot more interesting. I've grown in affection for 7 of 9 as a character, and seeing her come back in Star Trek Picard, I really wanted her to do something awesome in the last episode. That's all I'm going to say. Eleanor and Picard have a little bit of a goodbye. Picard drops the bad news to both him and 7 of 9. I honestly felt like the goodbye between 7 of 9 and Picard was a lot more impactful than the one between him and Eleanor. Obviously, guys, I think there's going to be some like plot thing they're going to write here to fix this little abnormality in his brain, because this is going to be a multi-season show. No way Picard can like survive a whole nother season without something happening that's going to conveniently make it so he's not going to die like very soon. After that, guys, they head to Coppelius Station, which is the little city that they have on Kulion 4 that houses all the androids. Really neat setting, a really well-designed, very modern looking city. They arrive here, there's so many androids, and they're all slightly, you know, miscolored, a little bit of a yellow tint, similar to kind of how Data was. Also, guys, this is something I'd like to point out. In this episode, there is like a huge bombshell. We learn that there is a descendant of Dr. Noonien Soon in the form of his son, I believe it is, Alton Inigo Soon. This guy, I don't know how to feel about this guy, because especially at the end of this episode, I don't think I like this motherfucker at all. It really almost bothers me. Call me crazy or something, but I'm pretty sure that Dr. Noonien Soon developed these androids, the Data type android, and like created lore and B4 and Data and all these androids and referred to them as sons because he himself like didn't have any children. I'm pretty sure that they like mentioned that before sometime in the next gen. I looked on Dr. Noonien Soon's Wikipedia and there wasn't any concrete mention of that. I didn't really want to go back to the next gen and try to like look it up, like search for it or any mention of him like not being able to have children or not having children. I just think the fact that there is this dude here named Alton Inigo Soon, he's just popping up and he's Soon's like biological kid or ancestor in some way. That kind of bothers the fuck out of me. I don't know why this dude is here other than play some different role later. At the end of the episode, he starts acting like kind of a bitch, honestly. He seems to have almost this crazy connection to the androids. I know that he did develop and create them like they're his own children, but it's almost like he really cares more about their well-being than the well-being of the entire fucking human race. Which leads me to believe that this dude is not a human. I believe that this guy is an android. I don't think Dr. Noonien Soon had any biological children. He did have an android wife, though, so it isn't too far out of the possibility that he also created another son when he went to create the Juliana bot, because he did have a wife named Juliana who, if I recall correctly, died on Omicron Theta, but then he transferred her memories over to like a new and really realistic human android. So I believe that's what's going on here with Alton Inigo Soon. This guy's weird disregard for the well-being of the human race, and then also his connection to these androids leads me to believe that he's an android. They meet the sister of Yana this episode, Sutra, who is kind of sexy, guys. Like, she's weirdly fine. I do not find Soji that attractive personally, but I don't know, maybe it's just because Sutra's like evil and also kind of like an alien android bitch, but whew, she's kind of sexy, I'm not gonna lie. On top of being sexy though, she is freaking insane bonkers out of her mind after experiencing the admonition via a Vulcan mind meld. I don't really know how I feel about an android learning the Vulcan mind meld, but androids are able to augment themselves. These are very advanced androids. They're almost human-like, so I imagine that it isn't too out of the question that she'd be able to learn the mind meld. She learns that the admonition is really like a message sent from these higher synthetic beings that don't even live in like the same dimensional plane. In the narration, it said they exist beyond the limits of time and space, so maybe that they're in this different dimensional plane similar to that one species from Voyager, like 8472 or something, that lived in fluidic space. Maybe something like that. But the way that these higher synthetic beings are being portrayed, it's almost like they're gods, almost, you know? Seems like they're just gonna give them a little ring and they're gonna show up and effortlessly destroy all organic life in this galaxy. Sutra, after experiencing the admonition, I don't know if she was evil before or if the admonition somehow influenced her actions, but she went a little bit cuckoo. Basically, this is a very clear act of her trying to fearmonger the rest of the androids to give her support, actually creating a beacon to call upon these higher synthetic life forms. And then another thing, Alton Inigo Soon is way too enthusiastic about that idea. Like, I'm telling you guys, that dude's a fucking android. He's kind of an asshole. Fuck him. Like, really, I don't like him at all. Unless he does something to sort of redeem himself, that dude is just, for some reason, really bothering me. So basically, she rallies all the androids and even convinces Soji to basically call upon these higher synthetic life forms, these destroyers, to come and help them out, because there are 218 Romulan warbirds on the way to exterminate them. Wow, what a crazy episode. The androids, really, the first time I was going around and, like, watching this, they really creeped me out. I think they did a really good job from, like, a cinematic point of view of almost, like, putting distrust between the viewer and the androids. Like, the androids did kind of seem nice at first, but obviously they're, you know, androids alone on this planet. They don't really act very human-like, so they're just a little bit innately creepy in that way. And I could totally sense that coming, the androids pulling some bullshit, like, as soon as Picard and Soji actually got there. Like, there's no way that they were going to go there, warn them about the Romulan warbirds coming, and everything was just going to go smooth as butter. I think the last thing I would like to mention about this episode is probably, like, my theories on what's going to happen with the golem body that Alton Inigo Soon and Agnes Jurati are working on. There's two theories that I have. One is, like, the very obvious theory in that they are going to revive Data using that golem, and that I think Data is going to be used as a tool or a catalyst to influence the rest of the androids to go and, like, support Picard and actually, like, not call upon these destroyers to come and destroy, like, all of organic life. I'm really interested to see what these destroyers are like. I feel like they're going to have to contact them in some way. So yeah, Data could be revived in that golem, in that he could be used as a powerful tool to actually influence the androids, save the day, or maybe Picard could be becoming an android, dude. They could be doing a mind transfer, and they could be putting Picard into a robot body so that he'll never die. They need to find some way to fix the brain irregularity that's going on with Picard, though. Another cool thing this episode was that there was actually, like, a Spot 2 android, a replica of Data's cat, so it seems like people in this Capella station, like, almost know Data as a legend. Anyways, guys, yep, I'm gonna give this episode, like, a 7. It was pretty entertaining. It really got me super hyped for next episode. I'm just gonna call it here, guys. The next episode is probably going to be, like, 5 times better than this one. This was, like, totally exposition for the things that are about to come. T-minus 2 hours here for the season finale of Star Trek Picard. This is going to be the first time that I'm actually going to be here and present for a finale of Trek, just like how I mentioned in my first review that was going to be the first time that I'd be around for the premiere of a Trek series. So as you could probably tell, I'm super stoked, and you will see the rest of my review in part 2. I will definitely record that after I watch the episode. We'll be doing a small cut here, and then we will get to my review of the season finale of Star Trek Picard after I viewed it. Holy shit, guys. I just got done watching Star Trek Picard, and Arcadia Ego Part 2. I am absolutely flabbergasted at what I just saw and experienced. That was absolutely crazy. I feel like people are going to be extremely provoked. Like, that was an extremely provocative season finale. That was crazy. I really don't think I would like to go in and analyze everything bit by bit. I think I would just like to give my kind of, like, live reaction here at the end, because for one thing, I want to get this out quick. I stayed up all night just so I could watch this. I think I just kind of want to get it out tomorrow. This is going to be, like, huge spoilers, by the way, so if you haven't seen this, like, click the fuck away right now, because huge spoilers coming this way. Jean-Luc Picard is dead. He died. His physical body died, and we have this little sequence that kind of implies that his inner soul or consciousness has basically done a perfect transfer into this golem. If you go to the wiki right now, it actually says that Picard has died on Coppelius. So holy shit, these people are very quick to edit the wiki. That is insane. Yep, Jean-Luc Picard died today. Holy crap, I experienced him actually die. This actually comes with a lot of huge ethical implications here. They've somehow literally found a way to implant somebody's consciousness into an android body, which means that theoretically anybody in the Star Trek universe can live like infinitely as long as they want now. None of our favorite characters have to die. They can just be implanted into a robot body, basically. So many more provocative things happened this episode. Riker swore he cursed. There was a decent amount of cursing this episode. The giant Romulan fleet came to attack Coppelius and Goulion 4. Jean-Luc Picard actually gets into the chair and pilots a starship for the last time in his biological body. All the Star Trek boomers are absolutely fucking eating their words, because while they were criticizing the series the whole season, basically criticizing Jean-Luc Picard for not being the Jean-Luc Picard they remember, the Jean-Luc Picard I remember definitely showed up in this last episode. He gave a couple of crazy insane speeches to Soji aboard La Sirena as he flew it selflessly towards the Romulan fleet. That was fucking insane. They referenced a whole bunch of awesome Star Trek lore, the Stargazer, the Picard maneuver. Riker was seen captaining the entire fleet. That is something that I kind of want to criticize though, because like fleets of that size are very kind of not common in Star Trek. You really only see fleets of that size when it comes down to intergalactic war. I thought it was a little bit crazy that they like needed to have that many ships like in this altercation. They definitely did it for the wow factor. Another thing, I was extremely disappointed how they literally copy and pasted the same fucking like model of ship. And also I really doubt the producers of Star Trek Picard have written any lore or actual class for that ship. It's more like that ship is kind of like a background thing. That is something I really am bothered by Star Trek Picard for. It really seems to be focusing on Picard and the characters, but it's really doing a poor job of creating like any lore for itself. Like, why aren't you really assigning a little bit more lore and importance to the ships that just even show up in the background, really? The Romulan warbirds all looked very similar, and I just really didn't like it. I think that it is very crucial that they do a digital remaster of the series where they possibly change the ships up a little, give them a little individuality when they have a little bit more money to do that, because obviously they were on some sort of budget when filming this. I don't know what the fuck is up with CBS, but there was definitely some parts where they used some like stock footage that they found online. It's really late. I've definitely been under the influence tonight. I definitely had a fat dinner, so sorry if my voice was a little bit scratchy. I'm just feeling a lot of emotions. I really don't know how I feel about like Picard going into this robot golem body. Like, is that the Picard that we really know? Is that just like a copy of Picard? Picard that we once knew, like, dead? I mean, we're speaking about this as though like, oh yeah, Picard had died on Coppelius. He is deceased. Well, that was like Picard's biological body, but it seemed like in that little scene that he had with Commander Data in that, you know, like consciousness simulation, it almost seemed like Picard's consciousness was literally transferred, like they actually did a mind transfer. Dude, I honestly thought when I saw that in the last episode, and I think I said this earlier when I reviewed the last episode, because this is going to be a two-parter, I've already said this, and there's going to be like a little cut and everything. I really predicted that they were going to use that golem to like revive Commander Data. I thought one of the big things that they were trying to do with this whole synthetic theme around this season is that they were going to revive Lieutenant Commander Data at the end as like a kind of gift to the fans. But no, they really actually went and fucking did it. Like, I even had it in the back of my mind, like, well, what if they, you know, decided to transfer Picard into that body? And they actually fucking did it, but they pulled like a Juliana on Picard. The only thing they really did was put him in like a new body and basically put his biological lifespan back in place. Maybe I'm putting a little bit too much thought into this. Like, it is absolutely fucking crazy that Jean-Luc Picard is in a synthetic golem body, but I mean, when we really think about it, it was like a solid mind transfer. I don't think it's really supposed to be so serious that we get into the ethical implications of it. Like, you know, is Jean-Luc Picard dead and this is like a fucking like homunculi? No, it's probably just Jean-Luc Picard without his brain injury. I think that's really what they're trying to illustrate here. They even said like, oh, you're not immortal, you're not going to live forever, you don't have the augmentations, you're really not an android at all. We basically just fucking copied you into a new body and took away your brain injury. So it's basically just like, you know, like plot armor, I guess. Insanely crazy, insanely provocative, insanely cool. Another thing that I was really surprised by, Soji is apparently going to become like a permanent member of the crew. I wonder if they're going to continue utilizing this cast. It seemed like at the end of the episode, Soji left Coppelius and decided to join this crew with Agnes Girardi, Chris Rios, Elnor, 7 of 9. I doubt 7 of 9 is going to stay around. Like, Jerry Ryan's definitely not going to do that. In the credits, it says she guest starred, so I really doubt that, but it seems like Rafi and all them, like, they're going to continue to be using the Lee Serena crew and, like, this cast into further seasons, so that's really interesting. Issa Brioms, I think her name is, might be reprising her role of Soji, and we might be seeing this cast some more. I'm so fucking interested to see what kind of plot and storyline that they choose for season 2, because like season 1 didn't really disappoint me. Oh, actually, it did kind of disappoint me. One thing that was a little bit disappointing was the only thing that we got to see out of the super alien, like, synthetic race that exists beyond time and space was this very malicious looking red portal with some, like, robotic centipedes coming out of it. That was, Star Trek Picard, that was fucking so lame, dude. Like, you're really going to depict the super intelligent synthetic life form beings that's supposed to eradicate all of humankind as, like, some fucking robot centipedes? That's inappropriate, guys. Like, dude, this season and everything, it's really good, slightly provocative at the end. I really liked it, but you guys really need to do like a digital remaster of the graphics. I feel like you could totally change like some of the stock footage that you used. All these scenes were totally independent of like the actual footage shot with the characters. Even without that, it's more like ships and stuff that I know these motherfuckers can fix if they just had some more money, time, and also some writers to actually like create a class of starship to use in that battle, and also differentiate the ships. That was so fucking corny. Like seeing the same Starfleet ship, like, dude, that scene where they were all like the Romulans pitted against Starfleet, that was cool, but dude, are you really gonna have the same ship plastered everywhere? And also, Starfleet doesn't have that many resources to go and like protect one single planet from extermination. Clancy said she was sending out a squadron that maybe includes like what, like 20 ships at max? That's not really how Starfleet fucking rolls. They usually just send out like 3. It's very weird that like Starfleet has like ships even like so close to each other unless they're around a starbase. It may be that like further down in the timeline, they've really like ramped their shit up and they really have like thousands and thousands of ships. But that just seemed a little bit un-Star Trek-y for me. I mean, even the scenes in Star Trek Discovery had different class of ships and an appropriate amount of ships. I think the amount of ships and just the way it was depicted was a little bit inappropriate for me, and they were going like a little bit too hard. They're trying to impress people with this ginormous space battle, which didn't even happen, by the way. They totally resolved the conflict peacefully. Also, Rizzo like weirdly dies, but then Narek redeems himself, even though Narek this whole time was just been an unethical asshole, same as Rizzo, but for some reason Rizzo deserved to die and Narek deserves to slightly redeem himself. And what is the fate of Narek, by the way? We don't really get to see that at all. We just kind of see Lieutenant Rizzo die and then like nothing happens to Narek at all. We don't even get to see any scenes, so that's a little bit weird. There are definitely some things to criticize here, but it was kind of crazy. What do I give it? Season finale of Star Trek Picard, what do I give it? right now, after I've just watched it for the first time, giving a really shitty, non-in-depth review, what do I give it? I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8 just because of how much it emotionally stirred me. It was pretty crazy, and I think I just need to watch it a couple more times to just be able to fully seep it in and absorb everything. Admiral Jean-Luc Picard's now a fucking cyborg. Lieutenant Commander Data basically killed himself. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been my review, kind of like live post reaction of the season finale. This has been so fun reviewing all the episodes. I really just want to review every episode of Star Trek ever to come out after this. I feel like Star Trek is such a big part of my life. I love it so much, and I'm definitely going to be a Star Trek fan till the day I die, or until the day I'm mind transferred into a golem and able to live forever. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, please slap a like on it. Please leave a comment. I would love to hear what you guys think about the episode. And with that, I'm gonna have to see you in the next one.